Testing, testing. Great, the recording has started. So listen, I want to welcome everyone today to our webinar, Ask a Clerk. I am so excited that y'all are here, and for those of you who are seeing this on your recording, I'm sorry that we missed you. I know there's a lot of parents with younger kids at home studying and needing to tend to them. Unfortunately, this was the time that worked for us, but I'm glad that you're seeing this on video. We got your questions, and we will endeavor to answer all of them. But I'm so excited to have a special guest with us today. So the run of the program is we're just going to go through the basics really quickly. I want this to be a chance for you to ask Danielle live the questions that you may have, because whatever questions you have, other people may have as well. So I don't want this to be a talk at you type of thing. So allow me to go through the presentation, and then we'll get to the Q&A. Does that sound good? If I can get a thumbs up, then we're good to go. All right, I see some thumbs up there, so that is awesome. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. So we are, my name is Winn, and I'm with Action Together New Jersey Education Fund. The agenda, again, is we'll do introductions, we'll go through the agenda, and then we'll have a Q&A for you. I want to tell you that about ATNJEF Education Fund, a lot of you were part of this. We led the largest expansion of vote by mail in the state since 2018. We really believed in vote by mail as a method for a lot of people to vote, and you helped us reach, again, nearly 400,000 voters. This is our group of volunteers who step up and step forward, and that's me. And at this time, I would like to introduce you to Danielle Ireland-Imhof. She's the Passaic County Clerk. So Danielle, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi, Winn. Thank you again for the invitation to join you and everyone who's live with us right now, and everyone who hopefully will have the opportunity to watch our webinar in the days to come. So a little bit about me. I am the county clerk for the County of Passaic. Each of New Jersey's 21 counties has an elected county clerk. And our office is so multifaceted. But in regards to how we are involved in elections, we are one of 3 elections offices in each county. My duties in regards to elections, I design the ballot. Me and my staff, we make sure that it conforms to all statutory requirements. When we have people who want to vote by mail, we mail them the application if they contact us. We also receive that application once the voter has filled it out, indicating that they want to vote by mail, and this is the address they want their ballot mailed to. Then when it's time to prepare for the election, we mail those ballots to the voters that are registered to receive the vote by mail ballots. So we are one of 3 elections offices. I work very closely with the other 2 elections offices. That would be the Board of Elections and the Superintendent of Elections. And together we really just, we take great privilege in our role in democracy and getting the vote out and helping voters know what is available to them and how to vote.
Great, thank you. Can you tell us a little bit, I saw this on your website, Danielle, and I was really impressed by it, the number of vote by mail ballots that you've processed. So can you tell just a little bit about what you also do as a county clerk?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm actually in my office right now. Even though we are still in the midst of COVID-19 and most employees are home, they're non-essential, but as county clerk I am essential because we have an important primary election coming up. Now, outside of the elections role of my office, we provide passport services, as you can see, notary services. Once you apply with the state to be a notary public, the last step before you are finished with your certification is to come to your county clerk's office, whichever county you live in, and take your oath of office as a notary public. And so we're very busy with that. We also have a really robust Veterans ID card program. What that is any veteran living in Passaic County who has been honorably discharged is entitled to come to my office and receive an ID card. What that ID card does is provide them access to different discounts, programs, benefits, anything that is, a company's or a business or a retail store, anything that is their way of saying Thank you for your service. We see that you are a Passaic County veteran, and we want to honor you by giving you a small discount as a token of our appreciation. So that ID card comes out of my office. And we also are the register of deeds. All property transaction records, whether it's a deed or a mortgage or a discharge of mortgage, when you do pay off your mortgage, commercial or residential, that is recorded by my office. And new business trade name certificates. So for sole proprietorship businesses, when you want to go to the bank and open your business bank account, you need a business trade name certificate, and that comes out of the county clerk's office. So we have, a wide array of services that we offer. When I talk about our office, I do like to say it's an office that will touch everyone in the county at some point in their personal or in their professional life. But, getting back to elections and why we're here today, I've been reflecting on a situation that came up in my office about a year ago, last April of 2019. And we had a gentleman who was here for the notary service, and he overheard a conversation about an election that had just taken place. It was a school board election. And those are not in every town, so it did not take place in the town where this gentleman lived. But he overheard the conversation. He said, "Oh my gosh, I missed the election. What do I need to do?" And we said, "Sir, there's nothing you can do. And plus, you weren't even, a voter in that municipality." Now, what was interesting was that this gentleman was born and raised in a country where they have what's called compulsory voting. Compulsory voting is when, if you fail to vote, you're penalized by either a fine or imprisonment. And he didn't realize that now, being an American, that's not the situation. So, again, we are so privileged to be in this field of helping people vote. And it's great that we can vote, not out of fear, but out of a responsibility to our civic duty, a responsibility to our neighbors, and a responsibility to the next generation.
Wow, that's fantastic. And you know what, I didn't realize how much your work as a county clerk touches other parts, because I'm solely focused on elections. So I'm so glad you spoke on these aspects. One thing I do want to let people know watching this live and also on review is that the position of the county clerk is an elected position. So we really need, Danielle, this is your first time serving. You ran for county clerk. Is that the first time you ran and then you got elected, or have you run before?
No, that was my first time running for office. I ran for office for this office in 2018, won my election in November of 2018. The county clerk position in New Jersey is a 5-year term, so I'm nice and comfortable until 2023, but I love the job. A lot of women, just as a side note, a lot of women talk about when they ran for office, they ran because they were asked to run. And so as women, we need to learn how to step up and really take on that challenge, without being asked. Because a lot of times we don't think about it. We're so busy doing our day-to-day, and that was similar to my situation. Prior to being county clerk here in Passaic County, I was a town manager, so I was still in government, but in an appointed position, not an elected position. And I also have my New Jersey state license as a registered municipal clerk, and that's where my knowledge of elections comes into play, being county clerk.
Got it. So, guys, I hope that you guys take it to heart and see that there's outstanding women out there who may have not thought about running before, but certainly the office of county clerk. And I've worked with several across the state in different counties in working with, elections and how we can make it safe and secure for voters. And I have to say, all of the county clerks that I've worked with, even though we didn't agree on everything, they were all lovely. They were all great elected officials, and they want to serve their community. So with that, thank you so much, Danielle. I'm going to go ahead and move to the presentations to give you guys the basics that you should know. The agenda today is to go over primary elections and then the options that you have with the focus on vote by mail and then some key dates. The goal here is how do we vote safely and securely while minimizing the community spread of coronavirus. So the July 7th primary election is happening, and that was from Executive Order 120. I want you guys to know that voting is a is not a one-size-fits-all solution. Different voters have different needs, and I'll go through that. But there's two executive orders I just want to briefly touch on, 120 and 144. Like I said, it moved the primary election from June to July 7th. That's why it's different this year because of the coronavirus outbreak. It made it a primarily vote-by-mail election. However, it did not close the polls, although we will have a limited number of polling stations due to staffing issues and due to COVID compliance guidelines that they have to follow. So if you're going to vote in person, you will be voting by provisional ballot, except for voters with disabilities. They will be able to vote on ADA compliant voting machines. So inclusivity means providing options. If we only did vote by mail, it's going to disenfranchise some voters, such as those without an address or inconsistent mail delivery. Anytime we have non-English speakers who may need help, and we have to think about our brothers and sisters with vision and writing deficiencies as well. But I think above all, anyone who has a fear or mistrust of the election system, they may not come out and vote. They may not vote by mail, but they may go to the polling station if they feel that they, voting there in front of a poll worker will ensure that their ballot gets counted. So we have to have all of our options open. So when I started this with Push with Vote by Mail, I was concerned about in-person election day voting. When we have that, and a lot of people back in 2017 really didn't talk about vote by mail, I noticed that it disenfranchised some voters as well, especially those with mobility issues, those who have anxiety or emotional issues that don't really have them go out of their homes or are comfortable, those who can't get to their polling places, and especially today when we have a lot of frontline workers doing 24-hour shifts, they may not be able to get off on election day in order to vote. Certainly prior to coronavirus, we had workers who did second or night shifts, multiple jobs, who had a hard time going into the elections, and vote by mail gave them 45 days to vote by mail. Just a brief quote from the Center for American Progress. Research shows that communities of color, young people, and low-income Americans are disproportionately burdened by registration barriers, inflexible voting hours, polling place closures, making it difficult for these groups to vote. So what we want to do is to reduce as many barriers to voting as possible because we want everyone to vote. So here's the top 3 reasons to vote at home. You get more time. You get the official ballot earlier, and that means you can have that time to look at all the candidates on your ballot. You can also look at and study the ballot questions that's on there. Usually it's really wordy. It's hard to know where you stand on that. When you get the official ballot earlier, you have all that time to research, and that makes you an informed voter. Vote by mail is also done with paper ballots. It's convenient, and this year it's free. So everyone is going to get a prepaid postage return ballot, so no worries about stamps. I also realize that anyone born after 1990 really doesn't know what a stamp is, so we won't have that problem. Vote by mail keeps voters and poll workers safe, right? If we can reduce the in-person transmissions, because we don't know really if it's spread through the air. We know it's spread through droplets. Our rates are going down, but again, it's going to be a lot better if we all vote from home. So the challenges that coronavirus presents, and you guys know this and see this, when you go to your local polling station, the majority of poll workers are ages 60 and up. They're in the group that's most susceptible to coronavirus, really. Presidential election year is always the largest turnout. We've seen an increase in VBM, and we expect an exponential increase. I've already heard from several counties that they're going to have lower staffing than what they need because of coronavirus. And I don't know if you guys know, but poll workers make only $200 a day for election day, and that's 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. I wrote legislation to pay poll workers the minimum, the New Jersey minimum wage. That didn't get anywhere, but I'm still going to push for that. But you know, the people don't work the polls for the pay. They obviously do it as a passion for democracy. So those are the challenges. And I know this is hard to read. I'm going to see if I can't bring it up so you guys can see it better. But I want you to look at the historical voter turnout here. So in yellow, in the 2016 primary, the percentage is 4.6%. And that's a presidential year, right? Look at this for vote by mail in the 2019 primary. We're almost at 23% of us voted by mail in the 2019 primary, and a lot of that is due to you guys for you know, reaching the 400,000 voters and getting them to switch to vote by mail. So kudos to you all. I also wanted you guys to take a look at this at the general election. In the 2016, we had close to 4 million voters here in New Jersey, 356,000 vote by mail. Now look at that compared to the 2019 general, right, which is an off election year. We had an increase of 16, you know, you've seen this increase here, but look at this here for the general, 270,000, over 270,000 voted by mail. So we're going to have this increase. And so it's really incumbent upon each of us to reach by mail. Now this is a lot of wording. I want you to know that this is on the website that you can download, but just really quick in red, I want you to know who's getting what, when, and why. So if you're an active registered Republican or Democrat voter, you will be getting automatically, you don't have to ask for it, you'll be getting in your mailbox a prepaid return mail-in ballot. And if you're an active registered unaffiliated voter or considered an inactive voter, Republican, Democrat, or unaffiliated, you will get a prepaid application to vote by mail in your ballot. You don't need to ask for it. That's just going to be done, and that's part of Executive Order 144. A definition of an inactive voter, and you're wondering, am I active or inactive? First of all, you can always call your Board of Elections to ask, but basically, an inactive voter is if you have not voted in the last 2 federal elections, you've not responded to any election-related communications from your county where your election material came back as undeliverable. For example, they sent you a ballot and it came back to them as undeliverable. And then you have not re-registered your new address. That makes you an inactive voter. So that's who will be getting what. Here's a picture of all the components. This is from Morris County. This is going to look different in every county, but in my county, my outer envelope is yellow. Yours is probably going to be yellow. It's going to say official mail-in ballot. And then here's your ballot. It's going to look different because every county's ballot looks different. There's an inner envelope. Sometimes it's white, sometimes it's another color. Mine is white. And there is a flap. That is the certificate of mail-in voter. So you will need to make sure you fill this flap out and do not tear off the flap, okay? So that's just a watch out. How to vote by mail. This is, again, on this spreadsheet. I just want to let you know that it's on there. I'm going to have you read it at another time. And here are the key dates. All mail-in ballots must be postmarked by July 7th. And received by your County Board of Elections by July 14th at 8 p.m. in order for it to count. The last day to register to vote is June 16th, and primary election day is July 7th. So if you want to vote in person, again, a lot of words here, read it at your own time, but you can opt out of voting by mail. You can show up at your local polling station that is opened, that is COVID-19 compliant and ADA compliant on election day. However, you will be voting by provisional ballot. Again, voters with disabilities may vote with ADA compliant voting machines, okay? So do you want to know where your ballot is? At any time you can call your Board of Elections, but you can sign up at the portal called My Voter Information. And if you go to our website, votebymailnj.org, VBM Hub for Voters, all the information is there. I actually took screenshots of every step of the way to sign up. If there's any errors with signing up, contact your county Board of Elections. It is a service provided to you by the Division of Elections, not by us. The next steps are supporting our legislation, and we'll talk about that another time, but that's where we are on our presentation. So at this time, I'm going to go over, let me show you guys this one. This is a spreadsheet of Vote by Mail 101 info sheet. It's on our website. It's there for you to take a look at. There's a lot of verbiage. It's 2 sides, but it's basically anything that you need to know is on here, including hyperlinks. You can download the VBF for free, and it's up there as a resource for you. So at this time, I am going to invite the participants to ask Danielle questions. And participants, you can do that by clicking on the microphone button to unmute yourself, and then you can ask a question. There's also questions from the chat box that I will go over to, but I would love to have live questions because Danielle is here with us today. So go ahead and start. Anyone can start speaking. You have to put your, unmute yourself.
Hello, Danielle. This is Fran. Can you hear me?
Hi, Fran.
Yes,
I can hear you.
Go ahead, Fran, you're on.
Okay. I read in what Winn was reviewing, and please elaborate and correct me if I understand this wrong. In New Jersey, if we're registered, whether we're registered as a Democrat or as a Republican, then we'll receive a ballot that is unique to that. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So, for example, if you're a registered Democrat, you're going to get in the mail a ballot that just has the Democratic candidates because this is a primary. If you're a registered Republican, your ballot that you would receive in the mail will be just with the Republican candidates for the primary.
Okay, here's the second part of my question. So in the general election for November 3rd, and hopefully we'll be able to work out all the VBM processes, will a person, does the same thing follow true, or is it so the Democrats get their own and the Republicans get their own?
No.
Okay,
for the general,
yeah,
for the general, you can vote for whoever and whichever party you like, no matter what your specific party affiliation is.
Okay, so the process for Democrat and Republican is only for a primary election, correct?
That's correct, Fran.
Thank you, Danielle.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, ladies. I have a question.
Hi, yes.
I think there might be a little bit of confusion in the general public about whether you will continue to get a mail-in ballot in the future once you sign up to get a mail-in ballot, whether you did it in 2018 or 19 or this election. How does that, where's that stand right now?
Right. Okay, so that's a great question. We can talk about what happened with the legislation in 2018 and 2019 because both years you did have legislation in New Jersey that added people to the list of who should receive a vote-by-mail ballot automatically. If you were added to the list, you would know that already because your ballot came to you last November in the election. And if you're on that list, you will be on that list until you let your county clerk know otherwise. And you'll have to do that in writing. I know for my office I have an opt-out, I call it a VBM, vote-by-mail opt-out form on my website. So most county clerks have that as well. If not, you just contact them. And you can opt out if you want. For 2020, with this year's primary election because of COVID, the state has not given us any guidance on that yet. What I believe will be happening is you will then need to manually opt out as well after this year's primary. If you don't want to, say you're a little hesitant about going to the polls in November because there's just so many unknowns with COVID. We don't know where our society is going to be. You can choose to leave it, and then we'll mail you your ballot for the November general election. But if you don't want that, you can opt out after the primary.
So can I give a follow-up, Danielle? Thank you.
Sure.
One of my friends couldn't be here today. She wanted me to double check on this. So she has not voted by mail before. And she wants to vote by mail, of course, in July. And then from now on in, she wants to vote by mail. So I suggested that she use the regular voter registration form because at the top it does give the box that says vote by mail. Send that in. And I believe on the same voter registration form under number 14, I think it is, it gives you an option that says, do you want to continue to vote by mail for all future elections? As long as she does that, she should be fine then.
Correct. Yeah,
okay.
The same situation with my office. I don't know if you're in Passaic County, but
no.
We're getting those forms in constantly. If it's a vote by mail application form, or if the voter registration form is going to the superintendent of elections office in your
right.
county, they get it, they do their part, and then if it says, yes, you want to vote by mail, they send it to the county clerk's office. So we're putting all of those to the side. We will input them into the system after we've done everything for the primary, just so that the system is cleaner, with the list for the primary and then the more permanent list after the primary.
But I guess that's up to the county. Each county might be doing that differently, but okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Danielle. This is Fran again.
Hi, Fran.
Can you walk us through the security that is done when the vote-by-mail ballots have been received? What happens after that to ensure that the information is being entered appropriately? How does that happen? Can you walk us through that?
I can a little bit because when you receive your vote-by-mail ballot in the mail, it's coming from the county clerk's office. After you complete it and send it back to the county, it's not addressed to the county clerk. It's addressed to the Board of Elections, which is a completely separate and independent office from the clerk's office. So the Board of Elections, they receive all of the voted on ballots. And, that's why I can just explain up to that point. After that, you would need to contact whichever county you live in, contact that Board of Elections, and pose that question to them because they have a process that they follow, and they would be, best informed to respond to that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I will do that.
If I could add to that one, talking about security measures, and I've studied the election system here in New Jersey. There are security measures on the envelope itself. The envelope has a barcode that is unique to the voter, and the voter ID is unique to the voter. So when it gets to the Board of Elections, it can be scanned in, and that's how they can track under your My Voter Information portal. That's how you can, as a voter, you can see if your ballot was mailed or the date it was mailed, for example, and after the election, if your ballot was accepted or rejected. So it's through that barcode and the voter ID. I hope that answers it. Just really quick, I have a couple of questions here in the chat box. The question is, does everyone voting in person on July 7th get a provisional ballot this time? Yes, everyone voting in person on Election Day, July 7th, can only vote by provisional ballot unless you are a disabled voter, and then you can vote via a ADA-compliant voting machine. And let's see, if you have a live question, go ahead and unmute and ask. Otherwise, I'm going to go through the chat box while we're waiting.
I have a follow-up to that question, Winn.
Go ahead, Jean. You're on.
Yeah, so what do you anticipate is going to happen with that? Because I know I have talked to people who in the past couple of elections, maybe they didn't realize they had asked for a ballot to come in the mail, and then they didn't do their mail-in ballot, so they show up at the polling place and they're given a provisional ballot, and they get all bent out of shape because they don't know what it is, they didn't expect it. I'm just wondering how that's going to play out in this July election, if a lot of people are going to be surprised because they don't know this is what's going to happen, which I guess is our job to get the word out. But any thoughts there?
Danielle, do you want to take that first?
Sure, yeah, I'll start off. So I can speak on, what's happening in terms of getting the word out on the county and on the state level. I actually just got off a conference call with the state before our webinar. And all of us, all elections officials, we are going to be doing a lot with putting the word out through social media, through traditional, public access stations in your town's website. We're really trying to hit all avenues to educate the voters on, yes, you will receive a provisional paper ballot if you choose to go to the polls and you're looking to vote there. You will not be able to vote on a machine if you're not disabled. And repeat the other part of your question, please.
I think that was it. I just want to make sure that, Jean,
yes.
One thing that's great about this is that it's coming from the governor via the executive order. And so you're getting not only state-level support to bring awareness to people, you're also bringing, like Danielle mentioned, they're working hard at the county level to bring awareness to folks as well. The one thing that I want to impress on everyone is, regardless of the election, how close it is, even for uncontested races, all provisional ballots get counted. It's a paper ballot. It's just like the mail-in ballot. It's a paper-based ballot, and it gets counted. So there's no problems there.
I had heard when that's a good point to bring up, because the provisional ballots look almost identical to the vote-by-mail ballots that you'll get in your mailbox. Part of what takes the Board of Elections such a long time to give us the results of what they're counting, whether it's provisional, whether it's vote-by-mail ballots, is because there's a process they have to go to confirm that if you went to your polling site in your town and you voted on a provisional ballot, you didn't turn in a vote-by-mail ballot because you can't vote twice. So there's a lot of checks and balances that is going to be happening, and that's always been the case. It's in existence.
Yeah. So again, let me reiterate that. It is a process, right? And I talked earlier about the security measures that are on the mail-in ballots with a unique voter ID and barcode, right? So let's say when they're counting the ballots, if it says in the computer that they got a ballot unique to your voter ID, but in the poll books you also voted by provisional ballot, then the provisional ballot doesn't count. But if they do not see that you had voted via your mail-in ballot, then your provisional ballot counts. So it's a security measure, it's a process. However, all votes get counted, okay? So I just want to reassure you guys on that one. Okay, for those of you on the phone, if you want to, I just got a text here, how do you log a question? I think it's *6, and then you can speak, and then you're off mute. Okay, so I'm going to go through. Go ahead. Hi. Michelle, you on?
Yeah, it's Michelle. Yeah, thank you. I did *6. I don't know if you covered this because I got on late, but did you address the independent, unaffiliated voters and how they are going to do this? Because there's a lot of people that I know that are unaffiliated, and normally when they would go to the polls and vote, they would be able to check off who they wanted. But what kind of ballot are they going to get? Are they getting both? I don't understand how that works. I want to be able to assure them.
Danielle,
I can take this one. Hi, Michelle, is it?
Yes.
Hi. Okay, so unaffiliated voters, and I do want to clarify, being unaffiliated is totally different than being independent. So when you register to vote, if you are unaffiliated, you checked off that box, you do not want to affiliate with any party, you're unaffiliated. The unaffiliated voters will be sent a vote-by-mail application that was specifically designed for the July 7th, 2020 primary election. You'll be receiving that application probably within the next 10 to 14 days because the counties are just now receiving it from the state. If you are unaffiliated and you receive this application to vote by mail in your mailbox and you do want to vote in the primary, you'll have to complete that application, basic information, your name, your address, but what is new on the application is you have to check a box. Do you want to affiliate with the Democratic Party or with the Republican Party? So that when you send that back to your county clerk, we know which ballot to mail you.
Okay. And what happens if they're independent?
Yeah.
If you're independent, you will not receive that application. If you want to change your affiliation, you can still do that too with your commissioner of registration. You can still do that.
But will you get a ballot at all if you're independent?
No. Only unaffiliated voters.
So that's important information. Yeah, that's important information to get out because there's a lot of people going to think, well, if New Jersey, everyone's getting one in New Jersey, I will get one, but independents are not. So we need them to pick a side.
So what Danielle said earlier, unaffiliated is different than independent. When the layperson, right, not one of us in our election bubbles, they feel like that's a political view. I'm an independent. Independent actually is a party here in New Jersey. Is that right?
Right.
You know, it's
that's
one
true. Just like the Green Party or Libertarian Party. Yes.
Yeah. Unaffiliated means you don't have to, I'm not affiliating myself with any certain party. There's a question here about elaboration on what a closed election is, and this is a good time to slide in there. In New Jersey, we have what's called a closed primary. What that means is that only the people, think of the primary as a nomination, right? You're nominating who you want to be the one to vote for in November for that campaign, for that race, for that office. So that's why you have to affiliate yourself as a member of that party here in New Jersey in order to nominate and vote in the primary election for that party. Does that make sense to people?
Yeah, it does. But I'm just concerned that when I've asked people, are you unaffiliated or independent, they're like, well, what's the difference? So there are people that are not even sure of their voting status at that point. So personally, I'm going to start spreading the word that if you're this, you need to do this. If you're this, you need to do this. Because if you're a Republican or a Dem, you pretty much know. But there's a gray area for those two boxes to check. And a lot of people don't know what one they checked or if they did, what it meant. So I think we need to spread the word about that.
I think you're making a good point. That's a good point.
The largest group of voters in New Jersey are unaffiliated voters. So the independent party is a very small number, by the way. Go ahead, Jean.
So, Danielle, then it sounds to me like the unaffiliated people will get a chance to fill out the application if they want to vote by mail, but they'll have to declare a party, is what you said, I believe. Now, if they don't declare a party and they send it in, they're not going to get a ballot, I assume. And
we'll make our best effort to call them. I think all county clerk's offices will do that. We will make a best effort to call them and say, listen, we need to have your affiliation so that we know which ballot to send to you in the mail.
Okay. So I wonder if my county does it, or that might be. Well, do you know if different counties do that differently? That's not standard. Is it?
What I can say is that most counties have the similar passion and dedication to the job as Passaic County, so I can speak on what I observe in my office. But I am part of conversations statewide, and a lot of the county clerk's offices have the same level of passion and commitment to service that we do. So you'll probably, if you do fall into that category where you submitted your application but you didn't affiliate with a party, you'll be contacted some way, somehow, by your county clerk's office.
Hey, Danielle, here's a question from the chat box. Two of them are about the same. Who should people contact to ensure or to find out whether they are affiliated, unaffiliated, or independent, or Green Party, etc.?
Sure. That would be with the County Superintendent of Elections. In some counties, it's the title is Commissioner of Registration, but that's the office that oversees voter registration, party affiliation, anything that has to do with your voter file. So you would contact that office, and they can easily tell you what your affiliation is.
Great, thank you. The other thing is, I know that Executive Order 144 said that given the requirements that the Secretary of State had to create a brand new application for vote by mail that also gave unaffiliated voters the ability to affiliate, it created a logjam. They had to create a new form, it had to be approved, it had to be printed, and then it had to be distributed to all of the counties. So we are behind in what is typical 45 days before the election day to get our paper ballots. In Passaic County, I know you can speak to this, but when would Passaic County voters expect to get their mail-in ballots?
So the Secretary of State gave us the deadline to have our ballots in the mail by next Friday, which is June 12th.
Okay.
And this is statewide. So if you don't have your ballot sometime around the middle of June, then you should reach out to your county clerk's office. And that only applies to those people, those voters who we knew already that they were a registered Democrat or a registered Republican. Because when you just brought up a good point, the application that the state had to design and go through their process with for the unaffiliated voters who wish to affiliate for the primary this year, that is now being finalized and printed, and then that's going to follow right after the ballots going out. So if you're unaffiliated, you'll also be receiving your application in the mail probably around mid-June.
And then can you confirm the deadline for when those applications have to be returned in order to get a mail-in ballot mailed out to them in time?
As long as your county clerk has your application by up to primary election day at 8 p.m. because really since you don't have to go to the polls to vote, you can vote absentee ballot or paper ballot, either vote by mail or provisional. You can come to your county clerk's office. We will be here processing those applications and then giving you a ballot up until the close of polls. But do remember, if you're here in person, you're going to need time to get your voted on ballot to the Board of Elections by 8 p.m. Okay, so don't come to the county clerk's at 8 p.m. Come a little bit before, leave yourself some time to vote, and then make your way over to the Board of Elections, whether it's in the same building or, a different building where you have to drive to.
Yeah, that's a good point. You don't want to stay there till midnight?
No. Well, we'll be here anyway, but we won't be able to help you because, that's against the law.
Exactly. So okay, we have 15 minutes left with Danielle, and I want to make sure I use her time. So I have some rapid fire questions for her. No pressure, Danielle.
All right,
but you've
I'm
gotten
ready.
Well, these were previously submitted questions, so I want to make sure we can get through as many as we can, and then I'll go back to the chat box and live questions as well. So the first one we just did. The second one is, how will I know if they received my VBM application? Will I get some type of confirmation that the Board of Elections received it or the county clerk received it?
Right. So the application, once you complete it, comes to the county clerk's office. Generally, we do not send a confirmation. We process them as they come in, and then we'll get the ballot out every business day. We're here working through that. But you won't receive any type of confirmation.
So is there a chance of someone's application being rejected?
Only if they're not a registered voter.
Okay, got it.
And then deadline to register to vote.
Okay, so if in case of application rejection, do you then contact that voter saying, oh, you're not registered to vote?
Yes, that voter would then be contacted.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, for people checking their VBM ballot, again, like I said, it's on the My Voter registration. There's a lot of issues with My Voter registration website that's done by Division of Elections. The Division of Elections did have a massive data update, as you guys know, that I've kept you guys in the loop in, so there are questions, but the easiest thing to do, and until that system worked its kinks out, right? The easiest thing for you to do is just to call your local county election officials. They always have the most current updated information about you, the voter. Would you concur with that, Danielle?
I would. Yeah, we're here to serve, and anytime you need to contact us to confirm something or ask a question, we're happy to help.
Wonderful. Next question. Will there be a Braille version available?
No, there will not be a Braille version of the ballot available, but what is going to be made available to any voter that is disabled or needs that type of accommodation for eyesight issues, they can call their county clerk's office. When they call the county clerk's office, we will give them a couple options. We can either give them the guidance to vote using a secure online portal that the state has set up for us. So we would send you the link in your email, and then in the comfort and safety of your home, using whatever ADA device is connected to your laptop or your computer, you'll be able to vote that ballot. You'll then have to print it out, manually sign it with an assister. If you need an assister, make sure the assister completes the assister portion of your ballot certification, and then you mail that in just like you would have mailed in your vote-by-mail ballot you may have gotten in your mailbox. So that's one option. The second option is to go to your assigned polling location, and there will be ADA-compliant voting machines there for the disabled voters.
Great. Next question. If someone moved since their last vote, do they need to re-register before voting again? And Danielle, if you could specifically break out if they moved within county, out of county, and also the deadline dates for that.
Yeah, we should just be mindful of letting your county officials know as soon as possible. If you're within the county, let us know, because that's going to determine your polling place assignment. Okay, your address, even if it's within the same town, because there's different wards and districts, and that determines where you go to vote. So let the county elections officials know as soon as possible. In Passaic County, we don't have any ward or district races this year. It's only municipal and higher, federal and state. But in some parts of the state of New Jersey, you may have that. So it's important to let your county elections officials know your address if you have moved since you last voted.
Okay, these next questions really have to do with the Board of Elections, but if you could speak on it to what you can, Danielle. It's on the sheets here that I sent you earlier, but there are people concerned with USPS, and once they have filled out their ballot correctly and dropping it off, delays possibly. I know that voters can also deliver their mail-in ballots to the Board of Elections, but can the county clerk accept that too, or the municipal clerk, or no?
I believe there is legislation pending in regards to municipal clerks being allowed to accept a voted-on ballot, but again, that's pending. I just heard about that early this week. County clerks cannot accept the voted-on ballot. Your Board of Elections is the only one that really can accept the voted-on ballot at this time, and that's depending on where this legislation goes with the municipal clerks. So if you are unsure about if your ballot will make it back in the mail with the Postal Service, you'll have a couple of other options. You can bring it in person to the Board of Elections, just like I'm here. My office is essential right now. The Board of Elections is also in the office. They're essential right now. Besides that in-person option, what's new about this year's primary is that the state is making available drop boxes, which are secure and will be monitored and picked up daily, but they will have different convenient locations throughout each county where you can bring your ballot, and that will be picked up by the Board of Elections at the end of each day.
And I think according to Executive Order 144, each county has to have a minimum of 5 ballot boxes.
Yes.
Great. So one of the things that I've been working on is working with the governor's office on that as part of the executive order. I had asked for a minimum of 1 per municipality. I did not get that. However, everyone listening to here, you should know that in primarily vote-by-mail states like Washington and Colorado, those voters had years of ramping up to know and learn and be aware and comfortable with vote-by-mail, right? However, the state of Washington, 1 in 2 persons actually go and drop their mail-in ballot at a ballot box versus in the mail. And in Colorado, in the 2019 general, it was 75% of their votes were through these ballot drop boxes. So that tells me mail insecurity, M-A-I-L, mail insecurity is a huge issue when it comes to ballots. So Senator Booker is supporting me in getting federal funding so we can get more of these ballot drop boxes everywhere. Just an example, in King County, Washington, it is the largest population that they have with 1.4 million registered voters. 94% of their population live within 3 miles of a ballot drop box. So it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere. It becomes a voting culture. So that's what we want, and that's what we're striving to have here. The next question here in the chat box is, how will we know where these boxes are located? Do you have any information on that, Danielle?
Right, so the boxes are going to be monitored and controlled by each county's Board of Elections. Again, county clerk's offices work very closely hand in hand with the other county officials that oversee elections. So once the Board of Elections determines that list of the drop box locations, they will let the county clerks know for their county, and we'll help them with putting the word out. We'll put it on our website. Also, closer to July 7th, the primary election day, all voters will be receiving a postcard from their county clerk with a reminder that you should have completed your vote-by-mail ballot. If you don't want to vote your ballot, here's your polling place assignment, and also with the website with information about where your drop boxes are located in your county. So you'll be getting more information on a regular basis between now and July 7th.
Great. You just answered Fran's question of how will we know where the boxes are located. So that's a great one. The location, I think the locations have to be certified with the Secretary of State by June 15th. Is that right?
I believe so.
Yeah. So each county has to forward a list of their locations and also polling places that they will have open, at least 50%. That has to be given and forwarded to the Secretary of State, who is in charge of our elections. And that's the next process there. So we should have that pretty soon. Again, it is really incumbent on all of us to get out and let everybody know about all their options available. This is a question, I don't know, Danielle, if you want to take this, but towards the USPS, what happens if there's no USPS in November?
That's beyond my pay grade. I don't think we're going to get to that place. So, what we're doing, and with the help of the drop boxes, which, like you mentioned, are being used in other states throughout the nation that, have a really robust vote-by-mail experience. The goal is to decrease the polls, decrease the lines and the crowds at our polls, because we are in the middle of a pandemic. So, you're going to have options. No matter what, we will make options available to you.
All right. So with that, I want to just recap a little bit the options to the voters. And this is a message that I need all you guys watching this live and also on recording to send out there. You will get either an application for vote-by-mail ballot where you can affiliate with a party to vote in our closed election, or if you're already affiliated, you will get a prepaid postage as well, mail-in ballot. We really encourage you to vote at home. And that's really the message, right? Vote at home. And for those who feel more comfortable voting in person on Election Day, they will be able to vote via a paper ballot called a provisional ballot. It looks almost the same, if not the same, as the vote by mail ballot. You just hand it in to the poll worker there. But if that makes you feel more comfortable, we encourage that too. If voters have disabilities, they will be able to use ADA compliant voting machines. So that's also another way to vote. As far as the vote counting, so when vote by mail ballots come in, and I can speak to this for the Board of Elections, it's a manual process. There are security features. They have to match your signature with the signature, digitized signature on file in the voter registration system to make sure that matches. So that's another security feature. They have to check the certificate of mail-in voter, make sure you fill that out completely, sign your name, and you are allowed as a voter to have someone assist you. If you do so, just fill that part out. You are also allowed by law to have a bearer. This is someone who can take your ballot and deliver it for you if that's what you need. We are limited to being a bearer for 3 voters in any election. So again, that is also another tool for you to have. But these are all options open for you. If you are going to want to vote in person, please know that you have to be careful. You may have to wait in line because it has to meet COVID-19 compliance according to the CDC. So do expect to be in line 6 feet apart. If you can wear a facial covering, that would be great. If you don't have one, one will be provided for you free of charge. However, there is nothing, actually the Executive Order 144 specifically states that if you refuse to wear a facial covering, it will not prevent you from voting. So they will still let you vote. So again, it's all about getting all New Jerseyans to vote, voting safely and voting securely. Was there anything else that I left off, Danielle, that you want to add regarding our primary elections?
No, your wrap-up was really concise and thorough. The goal of this, the formula that we're talking about with voting at home, bringing your ballot to the mailbox or the drop box, allows us to have shorter lines, smaller crowds at the polls. And that's due to us looking to keep our elections accessible and our elections safe. Safe for you, the voter, and safe for the elections and poll workers. So you covered it, Winn.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So we have a minute left. I want to respect Danielle's time because she's got a lot to do other than elections. So I want to thank Danielle. For our people tuning in, I know that you have some questions, and those questions are related to the Board of Elections. I hope to have a Board of Election member join us for our next broadcast. One thing on the signatures, if you guys, a lot of us, especially Danielle, I should let you know that the majority of our group are women, and a lot of us are moms. So a lot of us will sign, you know, the grocery store signing when you sign your credit card slip.
Yeah,
it's really not your official signature.
Yeah.
Don't do that on your vote. And if it's been a while since you've registered, go ahead and do a signature update so that you do have, you know, your signature matching. Would you recommend that, Danielle?
You know, that's a unique question where that really should be answered by the county superintendent of elections or commissioner of registration of the county, because his or her office would be the most appropriate official to respond to that. You know, I would recommend calling the one in your county, Winn, have a conversation with them, because I don't know if we want to give an influx of paperwork to their office, you know, in height of COVID-19 and everything that we're dealing with, but they would be the best person to talk to about what do they recommend with checking your signature or updating your signature in light of voting by mail.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I want to thank everyone for joining. I see the chat box is still going on. I'm going to go through it and answer as best as I can, but like I said before, the slide set is already on the website. the recording is going to be a link on the website, so you can see this entire recording. So the resources are there for you. Any of the paperwork, the PDFs that I showed during the recording is under the VBM Hub for Voters, right? So the only website you need to know is votebymailnj.org, and that's really your entrance into all the resources. Again, it's there for you. It's free. It's nonpartisan. Let's help educate. So with that, thank you so much, Danielle, for your time today. We so appreciate it.
And Winn, thank you for all that you're doing to increase the education of our voters. I really appreciate it. I'm sure everyone else does as well. Thank you.
Wonderful.
And thank you to everyone who called in today.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Bye, Jean. Bye, Pam. Bye, Fran. Thanks, Michelle.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.